technology is always a solution in the crisis. So technology will be really handy. There are multiple areas in which this technology would be adopted. One area is in the conduction of admission tests. The other area where technology definitely will play a most important role is in the learning space.
For online education to really become mainstream and enroll millions of students rather than hundreds of thousands of students, we need to have online degrees that are accredited by the various agencies.
My message to all the students and the higher education stakeholders is we need to double our efforts in this time in order to sustain and keep our economy afloat.
In India, we have to look at technology and education 4.0 as actually providing education to the uneducated, people who are not getting quality education.
Education 3.0 was nothing but technology driven. This is now going to be a permanent feature and is now going to figure in all the teaching learning activities of times to come.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes, sir.
I think Prashant sir will be joining us in 5 minutes. Till then, we'll start from the introduction, and then we can proceed further. So, hello, everyone. Just a second. Yeah. Hello, everyone. Today, we are here for our College Juniors Connect student Chapter 1, episode season 9. So, about this webinar, we'll be having a discussion for the role of digital media in higher education. So, COVID-19 has severely impacted the education system in India across all streams and stages. However, we have seen that several institutes have risen up to the challenge and showcased excellence in education after a very short period of adjustment. Hence, we are conducting an online panel discussion, College Junior Connect, to bring the stalwarts of higher education together on one platform to understand the factors behind this incredible feat. So, for our panel discussion, we have Dr. Sanjay Vasade sir, who is the chairman of Ballarpur Institute of Technology. Dr. Sanjay has done his BE in computer science from, I think there is some... Hello? Yes, sir. Okay. So, Dr. Sanjay has done his BE in computer science at BITS Pilani. He has done his MBA from New York University. He looks after the administrative affairs as well as academic affairs of BIT, that is BIT Chandrapur. Prior to this, he has also worked as business analyst for many US companies like IBM, Accenture, American Express over 12 years, and have managed multi-million-dollar projects, and also has a good exposure to both Indian as well as US education environments. So, warm welcome to you, sir. Moving on to our next dignitary, we have Dr. Pranjal Bogawar, who is principal for Akar College of Management for Women. Dr. Pranjal has done her BE, ME, and PhD in computer science technology. She has expertise in natural language processing, data mining, machine learning, database management experience, system experience. She is in teaching field for about 19 years now. She is the in-charge principal for Akar group of colleges. She was also principal for Priyadarshini College of Engineering in Nagpur. She has done her PhD in computer science and technology. Also, Dr. Pranjal has a patent of development of data mining of email forensic system. Warm welcome to you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Next, we have Dr. Meghna Bhilare, who is director for Dr. D.Y. Patil Institute of Management and Research at Pimpri, Pune. Dr. Meghna is the in-charge director at the institute. She has done her BCom, DTL, and MBA and PhD in finance. She has a rich experience of industry and academics for more than 18 years. Warm welcome to you, ma'am. Next, we have Mr. Lokesh Surana, who is the Vice Principal for Ashoka Center of Business and Computer Studies. Mr. Lokesh has completed his BCom, his Master's in Communication with areas of specialization in advanced accounting, business taxation and finance. He has rich experience of about 16 years in the education sector, along with the industry experience. Mr. Surana has also conducted an international level quiz for COVID-19 awareness through NSS, for which more than about 5,000 students had participated from countries like America, Italy, Oman, Sydney, and Australia. So, warm welcome to you, sir.
Thank you.
So, moving with the coming to the first question of today's topic, I would like to start the discussion. I'd like to invite Dr. Sanjay for this question. So, Dr. Sanjay, do you think that the rote learning and memory-based learning is coming to an end? Sir, you are on mute. Sir, hello. Yes.
Is this okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's high time we move away from rote learning. And I think over the last, 10, 15 years, we have started to move towards more application-based work. And more students are understanding that part, because even when they get placed, it's not always the topper who gets the best jobs, or he gets placed in many companies. It's always some sort of application, like even when we see in computer science, even they talk about projects you have done, what you have done, and demonstrate it. Maybe they send a link to the projects which the job interviewers can look at, and they understand how they have applied the mind. So yeah, we are moving away from it, but yeah, it's still some distance away. I think eventually digital platform will probably make sure that there will be more objective questions where your understanding is tested in more like black and white, and clarity is required. So I think we'll move away from that, but yeah, there's still some time, and I think university exams will probably dictate that, how we structure our exams. Evaluation is very critical, because all said and done, students look at that as the way that guides them how to approach a particular subject. So when I was studying, I mean, just to give an example, we used to have questions like, you used to have two stocks and how they are trading in the market, and the question used to be, which of the two stocks you will buy and why. So that type of question changes the entire dynamics, right? I mean, if you are expecting that type of question, rote learning is not going to do it. You'll have to work on simulations on home, see how things trend, and have a logic. I mean, there's no right and wrong answer. It is just your approach. So I think if there is a little bit change on that side, how the exams are set, I think that will also trigger a move in that direction. But as of now, I guess it's a combination of both. And in some fields, like medical field, probably there's still a huge requirement for rote learning. Even in higher education, there will be things that people would like you to know by heart. So it's not completely gone, but I think in engineering, as jobs and exams will determine that we'll have less of rote learning as we go ahead.
That was very nicely answered, sir. I think all of the dignitaries here are from the professional courses background. So I think all will agree that definitely we can see in the coming years that the rote learning is coming to an end, and the logic-based approach are more taken by the institute as well as favored by the universities. Ma'am, Dr. Pranjal ma'am, would you like to add something to that?
According to us, what I think, if you are interested for the good job opportunities and market oriented things, then we should work for the application based studies rather than the rote learning. Because if you are going for the rote learning, you are not knowing what are the market strategies, what are the actual the projects, how you are dealing with. So according to us, even though university-based curriculum is some type of a rote learning, but we are the colleges, we are providing, basically we are interested for or making our students for the application oriented, so that they will be easily captured by the market, or they will get a more job opportunities, because 100% we are knowing that nowadays when you are going for in a 21st century, due to the artificial intelligence and due to many more new technologies, companies are interested for actual approach and what are the basic technologies rather than the rote learning. So basically, I think we should move to the application based studies rather than the rote learning.
So I'll move on to the next question. I would like to invite Mr. Lokesh for my next question. Sir, what do you think is a task for the teachers and professors to grapple with the technology to acquire the skills required in 21st century, especially post-COVID era?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much for the question. My warm regards to all the dignitaries present over here for panel discussion, and also all the participants or the viewers who may be watching this particular thing. I would just, before switching to the next question, I would just like to mention one point which is mentioned in the National Education Policy 2020 on specific application, eradication of rote learning. Under the new education policy, there is a concept of holistic report card. And that particular concept states about not only the marks of the students, but also the overall skill development which is required. If we look into the history, the rote learning concept was initiated from very ancient time. If we remember our ancient Vedas or the Upanishads, when the Pandits were there in the temple, they used to learn it by morning getting up and pronouncing it in specific way. And looking to the same system, when the Britishers' rule was there in India, they also focused on that concept, because they were not focusing to have the learned, they were focusing to have the slaves in the country. So that particular system was lacking the application-based model. And in today's scenario, we can see that it is requirement of a time that real-world application should be known to the students. If we compare the education system in the foreign countries and in our India, the education system itself states that a student at the age of 14-15 years start earning in the foreign countries, or maybe at 12 years. But in our India, our education system is such a prolonged system which makes a student earner after the age of graduation, maybe 20, 21 or later than that if he goes for master degree. So I think that is one of a lacuna which the rote system is currently having. And with respect to the next question, sir, which you have asked with respect to role of educators for technology to acquire the knowledge in 21st century, I would like to classify the particular requirement into basically 3 segments. I would also request my dignitaries who are there for a panel discussion to put up their views with respect to my points. I've classified the segments on the basis of learning and innovation skills, information media technological skills, and life and career skills. Under the particular learning and innovation skills, I expect that in the coming time, that is in this century, the students should be more focused on the critical thinking and problem solving mechanism. There should be proper communication, collaboration, and creativity and innovation which should be taught to the students in the real life environment. Under the segment of the information, media and technology, the students should be information literacy. Nowadays, everywhere you can see the getting information is not a big deal. Student can get a lot of resources and they can get the information. But what is a more appropriate, reliable source and what type of information should be selected by the student should be the thing which we should teach to the students. The media literacy should be there with respect to the creation of the media, tools, characteristics of a media, how to use any specific media in specific location or specific way. ICT-based literacy, again, it will focus on evaluation, research, how that particular technology should be applied. That can be one of a domain. And obviously, under life and career skill, we everyone know that this is somewhere the point where many people lacks, many students lacks, and that is the result that they are not employed in a desired location. So, under life and career skills, the student should focus on the flexibility, how to adapt any particular thing. Then they have to be taught with respect to the initiative and self-direction that should not be always, spoon-feeding approach should not be there. They can be focused on the social and cultural skills. So many times, we send our students for internship program or maybe, abroad for the internship program. This particular domain give them a lot of exposure for cross-cultural and social aspects. Productivity and accountability, because when the students are in the life of students, they are least responsible. Obviously, there are always exceptions to the different types of students, but generally we see that the students' responsibility taking capacity is less. But when they go for an industry, they have to be accountable to their employer. So we should always teach to them with respect to productivity and accountability, and ultimately the leadership and responsibility. So under this particular three domain, I think educator will play a major role in the coming time for looking up the new generation and their particular abilities growth. Further, there I have some points with respect to the do's and don'ts for the educator, but I request my other panelists to put up their views on this aspect first.
Dr. Meghna,
yeah, definitely I would like to add into it. We'll simply compare it to post-pandemic, pre-pandemic and post-pandemic. Like on teachers' part, I would talk specifically. Before pandemic, we were strictly to the classroom teachers, and to a lesser extent, say 10%, we were somewhere on the online mode. Except Swayam and this platform, we were not encouraging so much because we were very comfortable with the physical thing. But post-pandemic, as a teachers, we have acquired all the technology, we have understood the importance of technology, and we have passed it on to our students. Now, when the teacher's part, transformation on the part of teacher, again, we have seen how we can improvise it on the students. As Lokesh sir was saying correctly, there are various domains like leadership, life skills, something which we are definitely not in our curriculum, but we thought as a teachers, what are the various platforms which we can provide to the students. So when we are taking our regular routine curriculum as well, we ensure that there are various ways, like we being MBA Institute, we provide various value education, value addition courses. So in that, we have used various technologies, various models to students to bring up their full, develop them whole as a person. So in overall personality development or making them good human beings, suitable for the society who can adapt with the changes. So that has a role what the technology has played to a greater extent, and this pandemic has definitely taught us, everyone, the role of how important the technology is and how we can use it to the best of us. If we talk about our personal thing also, like so many years we have been thinking कि कहीं तो हमें कोई drawing class करना था, music class करना था, and somehow we thought things we were never able to do it. But we could do it because now everything is available on online. Zoom से हम connect हो जाते हैं and we do it. Similarly, we now started telling students also, you lack this skill. This is the various platform. There are many things which are available on Google, free platforms. You can access it. So definitely technology has helped both teachers and students to develop themselves.
Yes, ma'am.
So, sir, as Mr. Lokesh said that we have been following a holistic approach of developing the students through rote learning, but now we will be seeing the changes coming in. And as the Indian students usually get to earn at the later stage of in the late 20s or in their mid 20s, whereas in the European students start earning at the age of 15 and 16 as well.
But now even our students have started earning because a lot of things are available. Like students can do it online. There are so many assignments available to students, have so much access. Like we used to say that European students are able to do it, but now even our students are doing it equally. Our PG students are earning 15 to 20,000 easily while they are doing their education.
Yeah, ma'am.
So somewhere we are moving ahead.
Yes, ma'am. Definitely.
Yeah, actually,
But
even Skill India, Prime Minister Skill India initiative is also there. We are running many courses from that, and we are happy to tell you that yes, because of all these skill set programmings are coming now. So because of that, earning capacity of the students are really, they are earning from very earlier stage now. It's not like that they are doing that thing after a 20 or 24.
yes, ma'am. Also, Dr. Sanjay, do you think that like if we want the Indian students to start earning at the young age and also acquiring the experiences that are required, can we see the short courses like especially the vocational courses are being coming up from the big institutes and the students are getting to learn this opportunity? And what will be the role of digital media for such kind of courses, like say 3-month courses for repairing like phone or changing the mobile screen or something like that, the vocational courses?
Right. I mean, see, there is obviously, depending on what you choose as your career, there are different ways to actually achieve that. Some of the things that they mentioned, even small jobs, sometimes can build leadership, get you started, get you communicating with people. You know, there are so many skills you learn even when you're working in restaurants and places like that. In our place, I mean, you know, again, it comes down to dignity of labor and things like that. And because of that, we were holding things, you know, back. It's not like people out there, initially they enjoyed doing it. But when they started seeing like Bill Gates, they had some examples, but we don't have those type of examples. So I think everything helps. Finally, the students who achieve, they realize, looking back, everything helped. That cultural program helped them build friendships. The small event that they conducted in the village, that helped them to actually make a difference, to gain that satisfaction, build confidence in themselves. So yeah, I mean, people can follow different vocational training programs. They will pick up few things here and there all the time. But you know, to align, sometimes like what Steve Jobs once said, just do whatever you like to do at a particular time. Eventually you'll figure out, you'll connect the dots, and you'll reach where you have to reach. One of the things that really differentiates our thinking from, say, someone in US or you know, someone in Europe is like many times the students, they pay from their pocket for their you know, advanced education. And what that means is, what that does is, they want to stick to something that is going to benefit them in the long run, that is going to achieve whatever they want to achieve in life. So they are very particular. If they don't like something, they give it a try, and then they say, no, drop out, this is not working for me, and they move away, because they are very conscious of the fact that they don't want to sit with a loan that they have to pay, doing something that they don't like, or doing something that won't make the money that they think they will make in future. So that even if it is a you know, a small thing, who pays for the money, whether your parents are paying or whether the student is paying, it actually makes them dig deep to really understand at a very early age what motivates them, what satisfaction they get from, you know, particular job, different type of jobs, and they discover themselves early in life. And I think here also more and more parents are now opening up to that. So I think they will open up, they will let people do like digital marketing. Tools are available, social media, some people are jumping onto that. We have diploma students in our college who actually have started to make projects and websites and all that, which I didn't see much before. But during the Corona time, some of them, you know, they initiated. So sometimes with every crisis, you see opportunities. So I think this crisis has kind of is playing like a level playing field, because everyone wants to jump online. And in the digital world, India probably will fasten up the speed to catch up with the developed world and look at opportunities in the same way that developed world was looking at previously. We needed a crisis to get on board and, you know, speed up things online. But I think as they get online and we see success stories within the country, like if someone in Nagpur start doing at the college level, like someone is starting with a 15,000-20,000 job, and suddenly because of what he can bring to the table, he moves to 50,000, 60,000. That becomes a success stories for rest to follow, and that will really trigger everyone else in the class. So I think we will move faster. So in a way, crisis brings opportunity. This is one such crisis which will push people into the digital world, look at opportunities and connect to anyone on the globe, because opportunities can exist anywhere on the globe for them and they have the access to it. So yeah, that's what I feel. This will play as a level playing field. It will become more and more as a level playing field as we embrace the digital change. So let's see how we do that. That's the question. But I'm thinking in that way that Indians will actually join the bandwagon now.
Thank you, sir. It was one of the most insightful answers that I've ever been through. But in my next question, I would like to invite Dr. Pranjal, coming from a data science and machine learning background. Ma'am, who do you think will be the next examiners? Will it be a professor or an AI?
Yeah, actually, when we are starting on a 21st century and just now because of the pandemic, I think most of the time means now our education as well as your examination strategies are fully changed, and I think we are moving for this AI invigilator now, because you are knowing that now universities are conducting the examinations and all the students are on their home and they are giving their examination at their mobile phone. And when they are giving the answers, our AI technology is finding out whether the students are doing the misconcepts or whatever the malpractices. So yes, yeah, because of this pandemic also the technologies has changed the scenario of all these technologies, and definitely we will move mostly for the AI invigilators. Yeah, I think so that we are moving on that type of technologies.
Mr. Lokesh, would you like to add something to that?
Yes, sir. I would just like to mention some of the figures. Like it is being, observed that India has a huge population, which is the youth. And for higher education, if we go, there are around 70 million population who are, pursuing their higher education. The number of students in India is around 315 million, and 2 billion plus, artificial intelligence market is there in India as per the data. While 60% is contribution for higher, in the total world scenario, if we go through the total world scenario, 60% artificial intelligence market will get origin from India, because basically youth population is more in India. And as it has a specific features, like artificial intelligence can, give the individual student performance. It can provide a personal teaching assistance. It can alert the teachers about any particular students who is lagging in the studies, its performance. So definitely it has a huge role in the coming time. And as we were discussing in the last question, what can be the role of a teacher? Definitely, project-based learning is one of a method which is coming nowadays due to the pandemic, where, the pattern of regular teaching learning in the classroom, which is not physically possible. And obviously the online learning pattern is accepted by everyone, and it is not going to go even after complete about the pandemic. Even after pandemic, the online environment will be there, and many such courses are going to learn. So artificial intelligence will grow more with respect to different capabilities which a human have. Definitely, it cannot replace the human being, because ultimately human beings are irreplaceable. But some factors which can be considered as per the requirement of that particular age group. Maybe for adolescents there can be different requirements. Maybe for the postgraduate students, adults, there can be different requirement. That can be definitely play a major role. And a teacher or educator will be more of a facilitator rather than a teacher. So that is what I look forward for this question.
Yeah, I just want to add one quick thing. You also mentioned that in between that, human beings probably we won't be able to totally replace their roles, because I can see, finally we are all social animals. We like to interact, we want to be together. Recently we had a small gathering for felicitation of our students, and never seen so many students, their friends, everyone coming down to the college to participate in that. It was just that they wanted to be there. They were just they were fed up of online education, and they wanted to interact and just get in touch with teachers again and talk about certain things. So finally, I think AI will make it possible that we probably move more and more away from traditional learning, and there will be things available that you can use anytime, because that's a big advantage. You can just have a video and things that you can look at your free time when you are in the right frame of mind. So there are obviously a lot of benefits, and one of the things that teachers mention is they can't see the students, their faces, so they can't understand what's going on, whether everyone is following or not. I'm pretty sure people like companies like Google and Apples of the world, they probably will be working on something and send you everything, all the details, like 20% students are actually understanding what you are saying. They are frowning, or someone is doing this, someone is his eyes are wandering, whatever. So as we go on, there will be a lot of application tools that they will build, but I think it will still stay, my guess is more like a 50-50 thing, because there is a lot of depth to what we teach in the classroom. If you are talking about an engineering class, not everything can be entertaining as such. I mean, there are sometimes it is it takes half an hour to do a problem. Your teacher can make it interesting, take you through the thing, and to solve complex problems in the real world, you actually need a lot of depth. You can't just make everything like whatever they look at social media, 1-2 minute ka videos. So that's not going to happen, and only a teacher in a classroom can make it interesting, can build that group, can bring more and more examples to the table based on how students react and interact. So yeah, I would say human beings will play a big role even going forward. They will have to adapt. Maybe they will send links to the students, yaar ye dekh lena, ye sab dekh ke aana kal, and they will just have discussions in the class. Based on what I send you, we'll discuss things in the class. So I think that's where we'll go. That's what I feel. And one thing we learned during this Corona crisis is what we did, what our teachers did in the classroom is actually valued a lot more than we knew before. What they, how they engage and build motivation in the student, make them, kind of aware and build them for the long run, because, that is something that human interaction can do. So yeah, my guess is AI will play a big role, and they will push boundaries as we go on. More and more tools will keep coming, but I think human beings will remain, they cannot be replaced in the classroom.
Also, sir, you mentioned that we cannot wholly replace the classroom experience that we have. Also, I think it to a large extent it develops the habit of leadership, and also group as a group we have to perform whenever an project is given to you in a classroom, or whenever you have to solve a problem given by a teacher in the classroom itself. The teacher is there to help you out, and you will be discussing among your group. So it also develops the habit of team person in the students. So I think
Yes.
the questions are popping up from the attendees as well. So
Yeah, I would just like to add some points with respect to AI. Specifically to mention, when we talk about the examination, a traditional examination where, students of 30 blocks is there and one supervisor is there who is supervising. Here, the AI will play a major role, because specific characteristics like, face recognition, then, the detection of suspicious movement, detection of devices, books, then understand that if the student is talking or any such program on the internet, it can be very easily checked by use of AI. So here it can play a better role than human being. For human being to watch 30 students in a block is maybe a little bit of cumbersome job, but machine is going to give more of accuracy with respect to the type of assessment which will be conducted online. So that is a more of a possibility that there in that particular domain it can happen that AI can be used by some good institutes. Yes, sir. Back to you.
Yes.
sir, Coming to the next question, I would like to invite Dr. Meghna for the question from one of our attendees. Mr. Rahul has asked, while we have switched to digital media for education, it does affect our focus since there are a lot of distractions. So how does the student keep themselves distracted, not being distracted to such activities? Meghna ma'am?
Okay, let's go.
Ma'am, did you hear my question?
I think there is some network issue from ma'am. She is not able to hear. May I address this question?
Yes, sir, please.
Yeah, basically to Mr. Rahul, when he's talking about getting distracting and not able to concentrate during the online session, pandemic has taught us one more good thing: to be honest. So, as in the curriculum in the college, when we are sitting in the front of our educator and we are honest by listening and writing down the things taught in the classroom, there the honesty is the thing which you should be having in yourself. So at a time when you are going through online lecture, you should check out that your teachers or the particular pattern of the instructions which are being given to you, you should be honest to yourself and you should be dedicated for the same time to understand the contents which are given. So if this simple thing is followed, I think many students will get the answer for their distractions issue. This is what I think so.
That was very nicely answered, sir. Dr. Meghna, would you like to add something to that? Okay, I think she has left. Dr. Pranjal, would you like to add something?
Yes, I think when we are saying, even though we are moving on a social media, even though we are moving the AI technology, but we are thinking like that, whatever the classroom and the distraction, just the student said that with the help of a digital media, we have some distraction. Sir, students can listen the things properly. When we are saying that, first, sir said honesty. One thing I want to add, that is honesty plus regularity. Plus, whatever the digital media told you means is teaching you how to do the self-learning. Okay, so if you are doing the self-learning, and then when if you are having some questions, if you are asking that thing to your teacher as well as your facilitator, then your distraction is removed. So you should be interactive. When now this is not the fact that when you are not in an actual classroom, then it is your duty, because when we are teaching in a classroom, teacher is checking each and every student and they are looking after what are the things going in his mind, and then they are asking some questions, and then the students are solving their queries. But now with this thing, what we are now, because of the digital media, we are not able to see each and every student's face. So now it is the duty of the student as a self-learner that whatever they have some queries, if they have some questions, they should be interactive. If they are doing the interactions, then definitely they will move from their distractions, and definitely they will get more and more things from the lectures as well as from the new things.
I have a point to say here, add on to ma'am's what she's saying. It's correct that the social media, we can, it's a distraction, but on the other side, as a facilitators, we can teach students how we can use social media in a better way for our career perspectives, or what are the various ways in which we can demonstrate our skill set. So social media has given a very good platform for the students. Like few days back, there was a TikTok or anything, the TikTok didn't work, but students were unduly engaged. But now, as we see, there are various professional platforms like LinkedIn is there, wherein it gives you a platform where you can project your all skills, and those who are looking for them, they can come up and take you. YouTube channels are the best platform. There are many students like those who are not come ahead and talk like in the class. What we do is as a teachers, you have this talent, you have this skill, come ahead, you have to participate compulsory. And then we can identify students. तो सब बच्चे ऐसे होते नहीं है कि जिनमें talent सामने आके बोल दे. There are few shy students, but this YouTube and all this has definitely given them a chance to prove themselves. So we have to understand that as an individual, how much you have to use it for my self-development, my personal development, rather than thinking it as a distraction. So only thing, time management is equal to your studies, curriculum. This is the time which we give it for our self-development. So definitely it's not going to be a distraction. And to add on to this, like a few years back, we have been using digital platform in so many ways. And these platforms are giving very good job opportunities to the students. There is a lot of career as a content writer, as a media developer, video developer. So we have this year started MBA Digital Marketing. And at the same time, like we are using these various platforms. At the same time, as a DY Patil Institute, what we have done, when we have come up with this course, MBA Digital Marketing, which is affiliated by Pune University, we have started Digital Marketing Club. So the purpose is like, as the question was there on vocational training, vocational courses are like not for the students who are at 10, 12 after that, but when they are in PG level, we want to give them some additional job wherein they earn for themselves. So rather than making them work in some restaurant or some areas which will not help them in their career development. So our digital marketing club, what we have done, we have hired few people, those who are professionals, and they would train the students. And we being a bigger institute, all the assignments of our institutes would be taken up by us, and these students would be trained and paid for that. So it would be dual purpose. They are learning as well as earning for themselves. And eventually, once after 2 years, they would be ready for the job market in their specific area. So this is the initiative as an educationalist or as an academician we have taken up for our PG students with the same social media things.
So what I can understand from merging all of your answers is the student has to be an utmost honest with himself for being like successful in his life, and also you have to channel. The professor's role here is to channelize the energy of the students and make them understand that how can you use the social media to your benefit for your career and your personality.
We have to play a role of real teachers now. Like where we want students to divert them. That's the only thing now. There is a lot of avenues available, so we need to divert them only the correct direction. We have to show them this is the best for you. So we have our blog writings also. We have on our website blog writing where we encourage students to write. We have our FB pages where the content comes up from the student. So those who are good in this, like many students are not so open, they don't speak, they don't have, everybody can come ahead and speak, but some students are good in all this. So they can start developing themselves on this. And social media attracts everyone. So why not make a best use of that? So this is what we have thought. Like,
it is a very nice initiative taken by your institute, ma'am. Another question is from Mr. Anup Patil, one of our attendees. Dr. Sanjay, I would like to invite you to answer this question. The question is, what is the new role of professor in this digital era, and how do you think, what do you think will be the challenges on the professors or the faculties and to take up this new role?
Yeah, thank you for that question. Yeah, I mean, listening to some of the comments on the past question, how we can stop students from getting distracted. I think one of the things we also own up the responsibility to make our content that much interesting. I mean, there's a lot of things that we need to adapt also on our teaching side, because I have some wonderful professors who traditionally, they like wowed the class. No one used to move. They were like, really mesmerized. They were engaged. But now when the same professor has to make their own content, digitally share it with the student, it's a challenge for them. It's like you can't just take a thing like, from Harvard or MIT, download their thing and use it for our students. There's a lot of customization that needs to be there, and to increase the engagement. I mean, I kind of aspire like maybe that guy, this sir who is such a terrific guy, like in traditional way, how can we make him the same, expert or a guru when he is online? And that's the challenge where we have to focus on kind of shaping the digital content in a way that addresses our students whom we are working with. And that's the challenge that we have to take up. We are actually, the COVID made us almost 100% online, so pushed us in that direction, and many of them have accepted that challenges and have adapted well. There are few that they need the help, and help the students to also use their content whenever they need to. There has to be something that instead of saying you got distracted, we all get distracted at night. If there's a way they can revisit that content when they are most energetic, and आजकल के बच्चे suddenly 11-12 बजे रात में, that's the most productive time for them. So many of them, they want to look at that video at some other time and engage themselves. So we have to be open. I mean, most of the kids today, they're born with the mobile phone. They've been working on it. Not necessarily everything they do on the mobile phone is making them digitally smart, but at least if we can also adapt ourselves so that they taking our content in a way that is suitable to them. So yeah, there is something on the professor side that's a challenge that we have to take up. We have to tailor our content that will work the best with our students. Most of our faculties are very well connected with students. They used to answer things on social media and do things like that. But I think when it comes to doing like 100% or 90% online, I think it's a different ball game, and we have to kind of work towards addressing that and tailoring our content to make it work for most students, instead of finding issues with why they get distracted. They shouldn't get distracted. They shouldn't pay 100% attention and all that. We all know it's challenging for the students too. So yeah, I think we have to now, digital content will make it much more possible that we give them various options. Yeah.
Mr. Lokesh, would you like to add something to that?
Yeah, sorry, I got disconnected due to some technical issues. Definitely, as rightly told by sir, this social media is one of a way which, if we use very positively for the development of the students, it can boost the students' learning, because specifically it is to mention that it is very easily accessible. There is no constraint for geographical locations. The students can have a two-way communication. Students have become techno-savvy in today's scenario. More than us, they know what are different types of features which are offered by different social media and how to utilize those particular things. The user friendliness of the different social media platform makes it student friendly communication. So sometimes in the classroom, when we give our instructions, the student may not take in that particular attitude, and if we deliver the same content through the social media, it becomes more easily digestible to them. Because of this generation, they are more of techno-savvy. So that can be one of a platform, like on Facebook, we can use different types of assessment, different announcements. We can have some video analysis. So short videos of 2 minutes, 5 minutes, explaining some small concept in that particular video can help them a lot in the remembering. I remember I was teaching once the ambush marketing concept to the students, and a small video was shown to them, which created a lot of impact, because this concept was not a general concept which is used in the marketing. So that ambush marketing, when I shown them the small short video, it went into their mind by that particular example, and it was easy to remember. So that is a very effective technique, I think, using social media. Other than social media, we have different platforms like Wikipedia, where you can update the information, you can periodically edit it, and that can be one of the way. Also, some types of blogs like Twitters are there, which can help the students because they are always accessible on the phone and on social media. We can tag a different individual. You can share some graphs, videos, different types of information, tables. You can have an online diary system. All these things will help them to be in touch with their activity. Like just like your regular things, they can get into the familiar with all these contents. Is what my views about it.
Yeah,
sir,
according to me, sir, social media also give the students one facility that they are now the global. If the student want to present himself or herself as a content writer or YouTuber, then he or she can be a global, because some of my students are also use that social media and they uploaded their videos. So see that this is the confidence level of the students is also boosting, that because of this social media they are making themselves presentable for all. As well as I want to add one thing, that means previously our students are organizing some technical fest. These are for the our college as well as the college for the Nagpur. But with the help of this social media and all other things, this is possible for each and every student to make this technical fest as a global they arrange this as a national technical fest, and all the students from the India, they online join the things, as well as they use there will be there was the technical sharing among the students, as well as they get many more things shared from other students as well as our students. So this is again the one of the good initiative we are getting from the social media, and the students are getting the platform to showcase their talent for the other students also.
That was very nicely answered by all of the dignitaries. Dr. Meghna, I would like to invite you to give your take on another question by one of our attendees, Dr. Sheetal. She has asked the problems that the students face in the rural areas. So, where people can't afford Android phone.
So for the students, we understand even when we are situated in Pune, but now at this moment there are teachers, there are students who are staying in remote area, and really practically it's very difficult for them to be online all the time when we have classes 10 to 5 or 10 to 2. So what our teachers, some of the teachers do, like we have a very good ERP developed system wherein we upload all the study material. Along with that, teachers have become so creative and innovative in this time that they record their sessions and share it with the students, those who are unable to join. So definitely, and the question remains is of the not having the phones or anything. So definitely they can sometimes go off to the cafes near, now as it's open, and घर में एक फोन तो होता ही है ना, नो प्लेस, नो होम वुड बी देयर कि जहाँ पे एक भी एंड्रॉइड फोन नहीं है, भले सबके पास ना हो. So definitely students can access at their ease and at their convenient time. So as a teacher, we definitely have to think of helping the students in the best possible manner, like we used to do it for the fast learners and slow learners in the classes. Similarly, we have to identify now the students who are reachable and not reachable, not able to connect to us, and how we can do it for the best for them. So as our institute, we have taken the steps. We have a very well developed ERP system wherein everything is uploaded on there and student can access it at their own convenience.
So I think all of the institutes here are trying to at least get an ERP, as you said, and get the LMS or something like that, so that the students who are not able to join the live classes can at least attend, see it whenever they are available with the phone. Dr. Sanjay, I would like to invite you to answer the next question. How will the national education policy will drive India towards the artificial intelligence, learning, advancement in smart technology, and how will it affect our everyday lives?
I mean, I think one of the things, I mean, there is obviously so much to our national new policy, but one of the things that struck me was about options to select electives and do things that you want. The credit system that used to be a problem before, where you're stuck with a program and whatever was given to you, you have to take each one of that, and you didn't have that much of flexibility. I mean, I remember I took some 2 courses in one university. I moved on, and I transferred my credit and completed my MBA in another university. So it is all possible if you have a more flexible system. And what that also means is you can do the best you can at a particular time. Sometimes your financial constraints are there that doesn't allow you to complete something. You may do it for 2 years and there is some financial emergency in some family. You don't have to drop out of the education altogether. You can continue at a later point. You can change. You can pick courses that you want. So there will be, I think, a drive towards what you like to do midway, rather than to say that you kind of, you enrolled for this program, that is all what you get. So I think that flexibility is something that our students will enjoy going forward. They will, obviously, there's other things, initiatives being talked about, different languages being offered also to students to study in different languages if that's what they prefer. So a lot of things will change down the line, just giving them more options and flexibility. And also it will add to the challenges people like us will have, because we need to deliver on some of the things that, that we promise our students. Otherwise, they may move away and, continue somewhere else. So all those things are, I think, moves in the right direction. There are many more points, I guess, other people on the panel can address.
Yeah. The main aim of the national education policy is somewhere the digitalization. Our Prime Minister looks like a digital India. We move on. So recently I was watching a video of Jilla Parishad school, and there it was entirely on a digital mode. So if like the Jilla school can be on a digital mode, definitely we as an city-based institution are on the digitalization mode, and it encourages. So like the traditional thinking, we have been doing ki chalo, we just have to padhoge, likhoge to banoge nawab kind of a thing, wherein the education skill development of the student, definitely the inculcation of the various languages. Some of the engineering colleges have come up their curriculum in the vernacular. So we're looking at this, what basically we look at the first question, rote learning. So it would encourage the conceptual learning for the students. There would be different platforms available in all the various ways, and we as in teachers, facilitators will encourage them to use these digital platforms, and ultimately it will help them in the better placements. So this is how I look Education 4.0 as an technology-based education, wherein it's a blend of both traditional teaching and non-traditional teaching. So I look at it that way. So it is definitely going to help students to have a better career perspectives, wherein they have an overall development, not relieving any of in educational policy, because it focuses on entire development of students, not only on a education. So वो सिर्फ पढ़ाई वाला जो path है, which was there in the school, कि only studies were focused, you have to score this much, it's not there. It is the overall development of the students. So one more thing we as an institution can do, we have to make some the sports, music in our curriculum as well. If university is not providing, we as an institution can definitely have some of these factors which help the students to develop themselves.
Yes, ma'am, absolutely. I would just like to add some more points. Like, when we talk about Education 4.0, we are focusing to make students think. Like in our institute at Ashoka in Nasik, we focus the students to become a thinker, and they should develop an out-of-box approach. So we generally use different pedagogies for the teaching. One of the teaching pedagogy is a flipped classroom, where teacher act as a facilitator. The contents are provided to the students. They can have the open discussion on the particular topic. They can go for the case study analysis on the given topic, and they have to present probable solutions or the outcome from the learning. So Education 4.0 also focuses on the same aspect, is what I think so. That is, they can study anytime, anywhere, through different apps or digital media. And when the student will understand, when the competition will be very high, the student have to be sincere. Because if everyone take the digital platform very leniently, ultimately they may get a degree but not the knowledge. And when we're talking about the application-based knowledge, those only will be surviving in the market who have that capabilities. So student have to be thinker. Student have to go out of box. They have to understand how to come into the different types of daily life problems and its solutions. So project-based learning, can be one of the area where they have to give, we can divide them into small micro projects or some types of project which are related with the pattern or the content of the syllabus, in which they can understand the requirement of the industry. Then data interpretation and logical reasoning are the two ways through which student can understand and develop the analytical abilities. So Education 4.0 and also the National Education Policy is also focusing on these aspects, that how the student can be more of intellectual rather than the academic knowledge.
From what I can understand is all of the dignitaries think that the NEP 4.0 will be more towards of a logical based learning, having an approach of that, and not only the rote learning that we did see a change in NEP 3.0 as well, but going forward the transition will be up to a higher extent now. Ma'am, Doctor, I would like to invite Dr. Pranjal to a discussion. Ma'am, usually we see that the students from tier 1 cities like Bombay and Pune don't usually come to Nagpur or Nashik, even though there are such old institutes. And in your experience, what has changed post-COVID era? Are you seeing some students coming from Pune and Mumbai division as well? Is the shift increasing since the classes are online? You're on mute.
Yeah, before that question, I want to tell you that the new education policy is also interested for the collaborative learning. So, according to now, previously what we are doing, suppose one stream is like MBA students are doing the project in MBA, computer science students are doing in a computer science. But now when you are going for the collaborative learning, then you can merge the two projects, and the MBA students can work with the computer science students, and then whatever the solution they are getting, they are more flexible and more AI oriented and more practical based in the 21st century. So this is the one impact I want to tell you, that this education policy 4.0 will more focus on this type of a collaborative learning of the students as well as the teachers.
And definitely this type of learning is going to help students.
Yeah,
definitely when it is interdisciplinary.
Yeah. Then the question, whatever you ask, yes, students might get the opportunity that when most of the times nowadays previously students are thinking like that, move to the Mumbai, move to the Pune for the education. And why? Because I think they are thinking that their teaching learning methods are different. But because of now the social media and all these digital platform, they are also knowing that the faculties from the Nagpur, faculties from the Nashik, or from any rural area also are having that much capability to give whatever the educations is provided by the Pune or Mumbai. So because when during the pandemic also, I my expertise in artificial intelligence, so I delivered many series of the lectures in artificial intelligence. And I am really very much surprised that when all over the India faculties as well as the students join my lectures. So this is the thing, and because of that faculties are also introduced to each and every student. So they are also thinking like that, yes, now this is the era that we shouldn't move to the big cities or whatever the new cities, but we can stay in the local cities also, and we can get a more knowledge, and then according to our knowledge we will get the placement or whatever the things we want to start, we will get definitely a good platform. Because each and every institute is trying, just like ma'am told that now the students can become a blogger, they can able to write a content writer, they are going for the digital marketing. Yes, now our institute as a Aakar group of institutions, we are also providing all these facilities to the students. as well as now one thing I want to tell you that now we did the collaboration with the Bhabha Atomic Research Center, and now our students are going to do their projects. So they are working on the robotics, and now their computerized content are developed by our students. So this is the thing, what now all the things are possible in a Nagpur also. So definitely student can think why to move to Pune or Mumbai. Yes, whatever we are getting, the same thing in a small cities. So this is my
one more thing, what the institutions can do, what I feel is like to encourage startup entrepreneurship development. Like we have, all of us have the entrepreneurship skill in our institution. Sometimes it's merely on the paper, but if we start working on the startup, like engineering colleges have much of the opportunities. We MBA colleges have a lot of opportunities where we can train the students to have their own startups. And initially these would be the startups, but over a period of time, this would grow up in a good company. So then there will be many employment opportunities, and students would think, why not use the local resource and stay back in that area only. So this is the one thing
I want to add that thing. Yeah, my college is not the engineering college. We have a very graduate colleges, BCA, BBA, BCom. But I want to mention that thing, that internship as well as startup, we have started that thing in our college also. And my students are started the web development also, and now they are becoming the project development. So this is the thing, these things are possible everywhere now. Even the BCA graduates are also able to compete to the engineer graduate. No necessity that every time we should choose engineering courses, even though we have because monetarily and all other things, many students think like that, yes, I'm not able to go to the big courses, engineering courses or many big courses, but with the help of a small courses also you can achieve the goals and your targets. So I think that the student should think about the colleges which are providing them the more quality education, as well as startup things and all, the internship, then industrial exposure, so that the students can get all the things in their area also.
One quick thing I want to add there, like what we did to get students from outside, because it does help to have students from different parts of the country. We started some specialized courses where we have some competitive advantage. We have like mining engineering and we have food technology. Our students, food technology gives them that startup option, because you can get into food processing and those type of thing along with the farmers and other community over here. And mining engineering, since we have many mines, about 40 mines in this area, that is one area where we could specialize and compete or build center of excellence over here in that area. So we saw some advantage in doing that. We have students from 14 states in mining engineering. We have people from all of Maharashtra for food technology. So I think that's one way, because it's important at times to have students from outside. In general, though we are in Chandrapur's district, even if I get some of the best students over here, I think I can run like an IIT, because people have talent everywhere. There is so much talent, even if 80% of my students come from this area. So in many ways today, because of the digital world, things have moved on very fast from city to smaller towns, and even we can capture the best talent over here. I think we can develop a very good institution. So I think digital era will help us develop our students to world standards. So that's what we foresee going ahead with higher education. Yeah.
Mr. Lokesh, would you like to add something to the what is your experience in the change in the diversity of students that is coming, taking an admission in your institute post COVID era?
Yes, sir. Definitely, I would like to highlight some of the points. Basically, we at Nasik, we have Ashoka Education Foundation, under which I'm working with an organization which runs different courses at undergraduate level. That is BBA, BCom, BBA, Computer Application, and BS Computer Science. So, sir, we have seen a drastic change in the students. the time pre-pandemic and post-pandemic, the students are those students who are, are competent and want to do something good in their life. They are very focused. The time was there in the post-pandemic when the educator was the, person who used to take the follow-up of the students and continuously, taking up efforts. But now the students have also realized the importance of getting placed. Like we offer very good placements in our college, including at Wipro, TCS, Byju's, and recently our 7th student topped into merit list of the Pune University of top 10 BBA. 7 students went to merit list, and we are happy that our students have also got a package of 10 lakh rupees with Byju's. So this is something which is very achievement, and the students which you will check out, they are very average students. Only the method which they are following working at a micro level has helped them a lot to understand the capabilities which they have, the potential which they have. We have so many activities. We have different types of collaborations, MOUs with different industries and different companies, which provide the different internship and practical project to the students. Like in the first year, when the student come to our campus, we ask them for the internship, short internship project, whatever activities they are going to learn. They just not have to keep up to themselves, but they go for the peer learning. So the other students are also the students who are going to learn from the people, other students who are going outside. Also, we ask the students to go for the different types of student exchange program, also with the out of country student exchange program, the vacations, which make them realize that where are the people going away and where we are thinking about. Basically, when I have been interacting with the students which have gone through the foreign student exchange program, they understand the importance of our Indian culture, because when they go abroad, they understand that how much people respect to our culture. They come and they tell us, sir, हम यहाँ पे जल्दी नमस्ते नहीं करते हैं, हम abroad जाते हैं तो लोग हमें नमस्ते करते हैं because we are Indian and we feel so proud about it. So I think that is one of the way where our institute focus on giving the good ethos, rooted ethos of Indian culture and tradition in our students, and that is one of the best way to make or give an opportunity to the students for self-exploration. So that is what I have understood from recent pandemic, that in post-environment, the students have become conscious. Marks are not a thing. Now everyone is getting very good marks. So marks is not a criteria to evaluate the students. These other factors which are there about being and responsible student are the factors through which the companies are going to judge for their potential employees.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you all to all of the dignitaries who have joined and answered the questions from the College Dunia side, from the attendee side. Also, I would like to give a special thanks to Dr. Prashant Tambe, who couldn't join us today due to some technical issues, but he has been answering to the questions in the chat box from coming from the attendees. So I would also like to thank to all of the attendees who have come up, who have been open enough to ask their questions and which were being answered by the dignitaries. So thank you to all of you to accept our invitation at such a short notice.
Thank you to you all for organizing this webinar, as we could connect to various institutes and understand what are, so that we can develop in as an individual institutes. And definitely these connections help us everywhere. We can connect for the various programs as well in the future. Looking forward for a good association in future. Thank you. Nice connecting to you all. Let's stay connected.
I'm also thankful to College Dunia team, all the dignitaries. Today I had interaction with other dignitaries. Some of you I know because my students are working with your institutes. Like Meghna ma'am, my students from Nasik were with your institute, so they used to tell me about you. So though your name was known to us, but it was a good time to have a personal introduction with each other, and look forward for more future association in the coming time. Thank you.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Let's stay connected. Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
A lot.
Yeah,
Thank you.
And all other dignitaries. Yeah, it's a nice platform we got to communicate and give our thinking and share our different aspects of running the colleges. So it's really very nice to communicate with you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much once again.